You want the best for your car? You already watch our tutorials.
So the best place for the best deal is to buy from the Mr. Auto app. Easy, fast, and with better prices than on the website.
You will find the bulk shock absorbers used in the video exclusively on the Mr. Auto website and through the link in the description. Turn your engine off, pull up the handbrake, pull on the bonnet release lever and open the bonnet. To disassemble the front shock absorbers, it is first important to remove the windscreen frame and the windscreen wiper. Before removing the windscreen wipers, place adhesive tape in order to keep a precise indication of their location at the end position. This will make it possible to correctly position them when reassembling. Remove the protective cover. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the nut covers from the wiper arms and, using a socket wrench and a 13mm socket, loosen the nuts. Remove the windscreen wiper arms by making small movements up and down. If they're not coming out, we recommend taking a windscreen wiper remover to facilitate the process. Take out the waterproofing joint of the windscreen bay by pulling it upwards from one end to the other. Using a pry bar, remove the windscreen frame retaining rivet. Then lift the windscreen. Remove the hose for the windscreen washing liquid. Now remove the windshield frame. Brush the nut holding the upper suspension strut support bearing and spray it with penetrating oil. Using a socket wrench, an extender and 19mm socket, unscrew the nut by a few threads to create some clearance for the next steps. Loosen the stud bolts on the front wheels. Lift the front of the vehicle. Place the vehicle on the axle stands. We strongly suggest watching the tutorial, raising your vehicle safely before carrying out this step. You must remove the wheels in order to change the front shock absorbers on your car. This will give you full access to the suspension system. Don't forget to slide the wheels under the vehicle. During this operation, you will work on the front end of your car. An alignment check carried out by a professional will ensure that your steering system is once again perfectly adjusted and functioning. You now have to remove the stabilizer link bar. It connects the sway bar to the shock absorbers so that the wheels are always in contact with the ground. To do this, we recommend watching the video How to Replace the Sway Bar Links Panda 3. Remove the ABS sensor cable. Using Needlenose pliers, remove the brake hose from its slot. Using a wire brush, brush the threads of the shock absorber foot bolts and spray it with degreaser. Using a socket wrench and a 17mm socket, unscrew the two screws of the base of the shock absorber. Hold the nut using a 15mm spanner. Then remove them. You can use a hammer to help you. Disconnect the shock absorber base from the stub axle. The base of the shock absorber should now be free. Finish unscrewing the upper suspension strut support bearing nut using a 90mm spanner and a 7mm Allen socket. hold the shock absorber with one hand and finish unscrewing with the other. Remove the shock absorber. In order to change the shock absorber, you must now separate it from the spring. You can find the description of the tool we use in the video, which we think is most adapted to the operation. Careful, pay attention as you compress the spring. This is not without risk and should be undertaken paying very careful attention. Install the shock absorber in the vise, then compress the two spring compressors using the socket wrench and the appropriate socket. Once the shock absorber is free in the spring, using an 18mm socket and a 7mm Allen key, you can unscrew the lock nut on the shock absorber rod. In the most extreme cases, you have to use an impact wrench. You can also use the specific tool used in the video, which will make your task much easier. Then remove the suspension strut support bearing assembly. Then remove the upper shock absorber support, the lower suspension strut support bearing. Remove the spring and the sleeve from the shock absorber.
All parts used in this tutorial are supplied by our trusted partners. These partners also help us create as many video tutorials as possible. Check them out in the description below.
Take the new shock absorber and all of the accessories that you will find in the video description on the Mr. Auto site. Before installing the new shock absorbers, it is necessary to prime them by pressing the shock absorber rod vertically so that the gas and the hydraulic fluid are separated. Unscrew the lock nut on the stem. Secure the shock absorber in a vise. Then install the spring, the protective sleeve, the shock absorber stop, the strut mount assembly, and finish by screwing in the lock nut onto the shock absorber stem. Pay careful attention to place the bottom of the spring so that it supports the shock absorber flange. Tighten firmly using an 18mm offset wrench and an 8mm spanner. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Unscrew the spring compression tools, paying attention to the position of the spring on the lower shock absorber support. You have now finished preparing the new part. Insert the shock absorber starting from the top part. Replace the upper suspension strut support bearing, then screw its retaining nut by hand. Thread the shock absorber in the stop axle. Then put the screws back in place. Then screw them back on. Finalize the tightening of the screws with a torque wrench. Clip the brake hose back in. Clip the ABS sensor hose back in. Put the stabilizer link bar into its upper housing and screw it in. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Then you will be able to put the wheels back on your vehicle. Put your car back on the ground and block the wheels securely. Finish tightening the retaining nut on the suspension strut support bearing. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Clip the washer pump fluid hose back on. Put the windscreen frame back in place. Then the side covers. To reinstall the rivet, insert it into its slot and finish by pressing on the center part. Replace the seal. Reassemble the windscreen wiper arms without exaggerating when tightening them in place. Put the rubber cover back on. Operation completed.
Hi, it's Theo from UseTool. I hope this video has helped you a lot in your car maintenance. We would be super grateful if you could spread the word so that we can produce even more tutorials. Simply give us a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us boost the channel and help the whole community. Thanks a lot and have a great one.